Hello, Johan Lindeque of NullPoint Ventures, UG here again. This is the second video that I'm recording documenting the journey that I've started by founding this startup. And I was very happy to realize this morning, as I was preparing for making this recording, that this is actually pretty much the 6-month anniversary of the registration of the company. So I can't believe so much time has passed already. Of course, some of that time not much was happening, but I'm also delighted that the company is now up and running, that I've managed to already secure some of my first contracts for client work, and also started to contract out some support services for the organization. And this, of course, is really great to think about, and shows me that I'm already starting to get some real practice experience in running a business. As you'll remember from the first video, that's one of the main goals that I have with starting this enterprise, although it's not the only one. I also clearly want to make a success of this business. And so I'm very focused on thinking about how I can grow the amount of revenue of the business and how I can find ways to bring valuable offerings to the marketplace to do that. So one of the first things that I've noticed in the time that I've been doing this, which of course is quite short, and so it's quite interesting for me to note this, is how much I'm thinking about cash flow. So maybe that's got to do with the fact that it's a small business and that there aren't many reserves, so to speak, for me to draw on. And so I'm very dependent on ensuring that there's a regular stream of income to be able to cover costs. Now, I've already pretty much covered the fixed costs that I need for this business in terms of ICT equipment, etc., to be able to do the work that I need to do. But there are some monthly recurring costs associated with services like internet connection or maybe leasing software so that I can also do the work. And this very much concentrates the mind, especially the costs of having a physical address is something that draws on the cash reserves of the business in a very direct way. This, of course, is very much something that many small businesses face, and whether you've actually run a small business or you've taught about it in a university environment, we all know this to be the case. What's interesting for me as someone experiencing this for the first time is how much it makes you think about what offerings you can bring to the marketplace. This necessity to ensure that there's enough cash flow to be able to cover your costs, at least for me, has very much concentrated me on thinking what value I can provide and who the customer segments might be that would benefit from my expertise that I can offer to solve problems that they have. Indeed, this week, for the first time, I sat down and for myself did a value proposition analysis and also thought about different customer segments and what the value is that I could bring to them. After a relatively classic experience where I was having a conversation with someone else, not directly thinking about the business organization and realizing, oh, this could be something that I could offer that would be valued. And I think there's a relatively large number of people who could be interested in paying for the kind of conversation I just had. I wonder if that's a possibility. So I didn't immediately take any action, but a few days later, I sent the person that I was speaking to an email and said, could we talk for a short while, just so that I can get a sense of how you experienced that conversation we had and how much value it created for you, and whether you think that's something that you would be willing to pay for in the future. So that's exciting. I'm not quite ready to bring it to market yet, but it's something that's now actively in development. And very soon I might actually have my second service offering in the marketplace, which is quite exciting for me. And what I like about it most is the fact that it followed such a, let's say, normal process, something which is spoken about regularly with respect to small businesses and serving customer niches. and thinking carefully about what the jobs to be done are of those customer niches, and how you as the person providing value need to shape your offer so that there's a product market fit. I've also had two very interesting experiences in the last 6 months which were directly related to specific concepts that we teach in international business classes. I've already directly had experience of having to deal with transaction costs with respect to the invoicing for services that I deliver to my main client. Initially, these invoices were in Swiss francs, and I realized that I'm a business in the euro area. This creates an exchange rate cost for me. And I sat there for a moment and I thought to myself, should I just leave it like this, or is there a way that I can deal with this? And the wonderful thing about this is that essentially it took a brief email exchange. I realized that the business that I was doing work for is an international business and probably had euro accounts. And within the shortest amount of time you could imagine, it was just a matter of agreeing that I would invoice in a different currency. This kind of thing doesn't make a huge difference to the cost base of the organization, but it does remove one additional source of cost, because of course a small business gets charged for every bit of work that your bank needs to do. And so having one less thing to pay for unnecessarily is definitely very welcome. The other concept which applies directly to the business, and this one is really very close to my heart, is the fact that my firm has been an international new venture essentially from day one. The business could be started because I had a client. The client was in Switzerland. The business is registered in Germany, in the Eurozone. And so that means that my small business, from the moment of founding, can be classified as an international new venture. But the thing that really makes me quite happy as someone who's been teaching this for some time is that it's not that I've only internationalized in terms of the marketplace that I serve or the customer niche that I serve internationally. I've also actually already been able to contract some upstream services to support my business, and the service provider is also located in a country where my firm is not registered. So within the space of 6 months, my business has been internationalized both upstream and downstream, and counts as an international new venture. This also relates to the research that I've been doing in the most recent years, because essentially all of this is only possible because of digital technologies. The ability to communicate via email over long distances, the ability to have phone call conversations, exploiting the opportunities that platforms provide, and the associated apps on iPads, iPhones, computers, desktops, all of that, to be able to coordinate and share information has been essential to being able to internationalize in this way as a very small business. This shows the potential of the digital age for all firms to internationalize relatively rapidly, or if they've been established for some time, to think about how digital technologies could enable them to take advantage of opportunities which previously may not have been available to them. Another realization that I came to in the last few weeks as things have really started to run for the business is the importance of relationships. I've been thinking both in terms of my first work that I was able to do and get paid for, as well as the development of new ideas for offerings that I could bring to market, as well as being able to find the right external provider, another company to provide the services that I need. All of them have been enabled by relationships. And I guess, again, this isn't something which is necessarily new as an insight, but it's great to experience that and recognize that firsthand. It makes it very concrete and real for me as someone who previously has been in the classroom. Clearly, building relationships and maintaining those over time is something which is going to be something that I need to pay a lot of attention to if I'm going to be successful with this venture. Something else which I also spend a lot of time thinking about is the balancing act that I need to play between the work that I do at the university, which is my day job and my main responsibility, and also doing the work that I do for this new venture. The concept that keeps on recurring to me is the idea of the ambidextrous organization, typically associated with studies of innovation and how established organizations can continue to exploit their established capabilities, but also explore for new opportunities. Now, of course, my small business is not necessarily doing both of those things. It's clear to me that I, as the owner of this small business, I'm exploiting the capabilities that I already have, that I've developed over a number of years, and I'm transferring those and I'm using them in new markets. You could say that's some form of process innovation, but I don't really think about it that way. Essentially, I'm exploiting established capabilities for bringing value in the small business, but I am doing something which feels a lot like pursuing an ambidextrous situation, in the sense that I also have the work that I do at the university as my core business and something which I know and understand very well, and I'm essentially there exploiting my abilities and experience on a day-to-day basis. And this business feels to me like something which I would approximate to exploration. I'm looking for new opportunities, learning new skills and gaining new insights. And the really fantastic thing is that I can also recognize the mechanisms that I'm using to keep those two worlds separate in the literature. It's clear to me that I'm using both physical space and time as ways of managing the tensions between the day job and, if you like, this side hustle of a new venture where I'm trying to do commercial activities in a meaningful way. So I use both physical space to separate these activities out and the time at which I do the work. That means I have different locations for each of these activities, and I try and keep those distinct. And I also keep the work that I do for NullPoint Ventures into specific time frames so that it doesn't come into conflict with the work that I have to do at the university. These are very classic mechanisms that are well recognized in the ambidextrous organization literature. And so it's something which I thought was interesting to share, that I recognize that in the way that I'm running this business. I'm not a natural salesperson. It's not something that I'm naturally inclined towards. And I've been, I have to admit, not reading books, but watching a lot of online tutorials about selling, marketing, sales. And recently I came across an idea which has made this aspect of the business much easier for me. And that's this idea that we don't have to sell, but rather we can make offers. So one might say that this is a linguistic mechanism to try and create some comfort, but you're essentially still doing the same thing. I'm not so sure about that. We'll see how things evolve. But what's clear to me is that I'm far more comfortable with this idea of thinking more about creating business by putting offers into the marketplace. And this has really enabled me to think in a far more positive way about trying to identify opportunities for creating value that people are willing to pay for, without feeling as if I'm trying to generate a transaction which otherwise may not have taken place. I guess that fits with someone who's not really naturally inclined towards selling. And so this has actually taken quite a bit of pressure off me to think about it in that way. And I'm now really excited about thinking about this, or thinking about different ways in which I can create and bring offers to the market and see how that's accepted by the intended customer segments, and how and I'm curious to see how this evolves over time in terms of my thinking and also my ability to assess accurately or effectively whether a specific offer will have a viable market when I actually bring an offer to the market. Something else which is a little bit more of a nascent idea or thought that I've been playing with in the last few days is this idea of what actually creates or is the basis of value creation in the digital age. This is a topic which is very initial in my thinking, but I mean, I'm really very interested, and I'm pretty certain I'm going to do a few more videos about this idea of what exactly an asset is in the digital age, and how we can think about the classic idea from economics of factors of production in the digital age. Clearly, the classic examples of land, labor, capital still all apply, but I have a sense that there is a digital factor of production which, if one can play around with it and identify it effectively, could really support better thinking about how to create value with digital technologies today. But I'm not entirely sure what that is right now. So I'm going to give some thought to that, and I'm hoping to come back to you with some new ideas in the not too distant future exactly about what exactly digital factors of production are. Something that I've been involved in over the last 3 or 4 years now is teaching design science research. And this is not initially something that one could directly tie to the starting of a new business, but it is something from which I've benefited greatly in terms of helping me prepare for this next experience. So for those of you that don't know, design science research is an applied approach to doing research, which is strongly rooted in academic thinking about how to do good research. So it's an approach to doing research projects with business partners that seeks academic rigor for how problems are solved, while doing the project in such a way that it is relevant to practice. And of course, this is something which speaks to me a lot, given my background as an academic, but I also see how this is a research design approach which is really very intuitive and also very interesting for people with a business background, practice background, that are seeking to further their education at a university or seeking to solve a problem in their business in a rigorous manner. So this is definitely something that I want to think about more in the future. The design science research approach, I think, could be something which I can valuably help future clients engage with, and thereby do research projects for them which solve practical problems, real world problems, in a manner which is also very rigorous and informed. So more on that as well in the future as a theme to develop over the course of these videos. Well, that's pretty much all for today. I thought I'd give you a quick update about how things are going and also some of the thoughts that I've been having, and I'm looking forward to telling you more about my experiences in the next video soon.